suppose this debate should be going into two particular contexts. First of all, that we as the government team want all the members that gain or opt in into those particular religion based on the proselytization made by those preachers are supposed to be members that have that particular belief as the interpretation, the pure interpretation from the God towards its member, and no other interpretation that excessively happen, and it can be lead to over excessive things by the particular member that he is going to be harmed towards the religion. Second of all, the context of the missionaries approaching these particular members is in the context that these particular members has very disenfranchised in the society. And why? If it's very in the condition of the society that is very disenfranchised, the way of the logical reason going to use is not sufficiently can cater down all those kinds of needs. But before answer those questions, I will jump into explaining the rebuttals that are coming from the government side of the house. First of all, they claim that the logical analysis is still acceptable, and they are going to interpret something that is in line with the progressivity of the time. Let's say Salat can make you healthier, and etc. and etc. We are going to explain to you the context that they made in this particular discussion is also is also happen in our side, and why in our side is going to be better also. Yeah. The first in itself is if they're going to talk in the context on how the logical reasoning it is. The logical explanation is something that can give the pragmatic benefit to you, something that very accessible to you as the member of the house that very need of something that can benefit you. What we are going to talking in this debate is the logical reasoning is different than the purity. We want the purity in the way we are going to approach those members. What kind of the purity? If those particular person regret the concept of the Buddhism, which is stratification, if the Muslim try to engage with saying that there is no stratification in Islam because the God want to give no stratification in Islam, there's no logical process that is exists in the particular debate, and this is the non-existence of the logical reasoning that we want. The purification or the purified, we are going to purify the concept of the religion, not going to use the excessive number of the logical explanation. That is why we are going to make this justified, because what the interpretation of the God will also interpret well by those missionaries. I'll explain to you a lot more in my several substantive. Second of all, they claim about how let's say the discussion about how the solar is going to give you pragmatic benefit and etc. and etc. We say it is an exclusive. Why is that so? Because in our side we are still acknowledge this particular discussion that our religion is still going to give some pragmatic benefit to you. But in this context, it is more strategic to you as the missionaries to tell what is the truth and what is the interpretation of the God coming to you as the particular missionaries. Here, the explanation of why is going to explain to you in my several substantive. Not thank you. But third of all, we are going to explain to you that this kind of thing that made by the missionaries is going also to be harm towards the members that they want to doing a proselytization with. Why is that so? Because if they have a various interpretation or very logical interpretation on how you are perceiving a religion, let's say medical sola is in line with the process of your medical process, and if you are encounter several problems towards your health, then you are going to think too much and furthermore towards how is your religion give an effect to you, and you are going to questioning the God and the interpretation made by the God to the missionaries and etc. It will be done. Thus, we are going to explain to you in my several substantive two things that I will elaborate in this my several substantive. First of all, I'm going to explain to you how this process it will have a bad outcome such a liberal person, and how they are going to live this particular religion. Ladies and gentlemen, let's say that the outcome itself from this particular process is going to make several people that is very have the logical thing. How is and it's going to be dangerous also. How is the process is go on? because they have done a process in which use a very excessive logical explanation in explaining religion. Example, if you want to attract people, you're going to explain the concept as the sin in this world as the test of an Islam. That is why you are going to also make several pahala, let's say, etc., etc. But in this particular analysis, in the end, they always consider everything in Islam based on the logical analysis. Let's say you don't have to do salah, or you give, or it is justified for a Muslim to drink an alcohol because it is not make you drunk if you have only one shot. This is harm because the missionaries only have the purpose. First of all, it is going to increase the number of members, and why this particular analysis is also within our side. Second of all, it is going to purify the conception of the religion itself. First of all, in this context, the principle of missionaries, if we are going to dig up Firmansyah the house, opposition side of the house, has been failed because they are principally as the hand of the God, that they should give a better approach and based on the religious interpretation, because the one who can interpret it is only the missionaries itself. The discussion very excessively in discussion about the religion is also dangerous towards their particular missionaries. But because second of all, the discussion will slow down in the particular religion. Why is that so? Because the member itself will questioning all the religious value and interpret it with a logical explanation as if they are the most truest and capable person. Why is that a just analysis that we are going to bring in this debate? Because in the essence of the religion, logical explanation is considered less important rather than how its member internalize its value. We're going to get to you the best case scenario. The best case scenario is the interpretation is as pure as what the God say. Even if in the worst case scenario that brought up by the opposition side of the house, they say that the member are going to be less and etc. and etc. Now we say the member also can be maintained in our side. But even if there are member is less, first of all, we are not prohibit anyone to use their logical interpretation. We regret it is coming from the missionaries that they should have sufficient knowledge based on their particular religion. And second of all, we are regret it because more people because we want the condition that more people in discussing better religious term in a religious based interpretation. That's what we say. We are better to explaining to you how we are going to increase our member by to purify our particular religion. Thank you.